Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News on India's Voice to the World. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. 5 army jawans killed while de-inducting from a military training activity in Ladakh. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Army Chief General Manoj Pandey condole the loss of lives. Annual Amarnath Yatra begins with arrival of pilgrims. Prime Minister extends wishes to the pilgrims. And in sports, unbeaten India and South Africa come face to face in a bid for glory. Teams battle it out in T20 World Cup final at Kensington Oval on Saturday. Iran readies for presidential election runoff on July 5th as the two candidates fail to secure 50% of the votes. On Friday night, an unfortunate incident took place in the eastern Ladakh region when an army tank, while de-inducting from a military training activity, got stuck in the Shyok River due to sudden increase in the water level. Due to high current and water levels, the crew could not be rescued and 5 soldiers were killed during the mishap. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Chief of Army Staff General Manoj Pandey have condoled the loss of lives of the 5 army soldiers in a mishap in Ladakh. Expressing grief, Rajnath Singh in a social media post said, and I quote him, "Deeply saddened at the loss of lives of 5 of our brave Indian Army soldiers in an unfortunate accident while getting the tank across a river in Ladakh. We will never forget the exemplary service of our gallant soldiers to the nation. My heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families. The nation stands firm with them during this hour of grief," and I unquote. Chief of Army Staff and all ranks of the Indian Army express heartfelt condolences, said the Indian Army stands firm with the bereaved families in this hour of grief. All right, Akshay Dongre joins us with more on this story. Akshay, good afternoon. We've just given the details of the story wherein 5 Indian Army soldiers lost their lives while de-inducting a tank. Can you spell out more? What more can you add to this?
Well, quite an unfortunate incident, Preeti. In fact, the tank here that was involved in this mishap is reputed to be a T-72 tank of the Indian Army, and there are a range of exercises and operations that are continuously being carried out by the Indian Armed Forces in the particular region. Now, Ladakh being one of the northernmost part of India, there have been continuous exercises that are carried out by the armed forces in that particular region. Now, talking about this unfortunate incident, it was a training exercise that was being conducted in the region, and while de-inducting or rather returning from that particular training exercise, this mishap took place when in the eastern Ladakh region. Now, this incident took place where the tank was stuck, and it got inside that muddy part of the river bank, and due to sudden increase in the water level, the water was in fact swept to a large extent. In fact, we are talking about Saser Brangsa region. According to the Spear Corps, that was part that had this tank under their command, and this is an incident that took place yesterday evening. Now, the tank crew that was part of this tank, they could not be saved because of the high level of water currents that were flowing in the region. The weather is right now quite unpredictable. The water level, it started increasing suddenly when the tank was de-inducting. The current was so strong that the rescue mission that was in fact immediately launched could not be carried out because there was a risk to the lives of the rescuers as well if they went quite near. Now, talking talking about a tank, if a tank gets inside, the marshy area, it's quite difficult given the weight of a particular tank of any armed force. So that is perhaps the reason why a rescue mission could not be completed in time, and we have lost 5 brave soldiers, including a junior commissioned officer that was part of the crew of this T-72 tank that got into this mishap. A very unfortunate incident, but it will be investigated definitely that what were the circumstances rather under which this entire mishap took place,
Right,
so that it can be avoided in future.
Right, Akshay, so the rescue operation could not be conducted because of the inclement weather. But do we know anything more about how many more army personnel were involved in this exercise? Because we tell our viewers that 5 of the army Jawans lost their lives. Do we know any more people associated with this exercise at that moment?
Well, fortunately, no. In fact, this was a 5 crew of this particular tank that got involved in the mishap, and these kind of tanks, there are Russian-made tanks, especially the T-72s and T-90s, that are in fact part of the arsenal of Indian armed forces. These are main battle tanks, and they have a capacity of 5 crews. So it's just one tank that was involved in the mishap, and that is the fortunate thing that no other personnel was also involved in the tragic mishap that took place yesterday evening. So the rescue operation of the tank at least is still going on, trying to retrieve the tank. The Indian Armed Forces have been carrying out this operation since yesterday evening. Now, given the inclement weather and the high water activity in the river where this mishap took place, proved it to be difficult for the Indian Armed Forces and the other rescuing agencies to recover and to the tank. But the efforts are still going on, and fortunately no other army personnel was involved in the mishap.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. All right, let's change track to other updates now. After a meeting on the sidelines of the G7 summit earlier this month, the Italian and Indian Prime Ministers pledged to strengthen cooperation in the cyber and digital fields. Overall trade between the two countries exceeded $14 billion in 2023, up from just under $10 billion before the pandemic. DD India correspondent Giles Gibson looks at how Italian companies are now trying to grab a slice of India's expanding IT sector. Take a look.
Just up the coast from the venue of this year's G7 is the headquarters of ex-Privia Group, an Italian IT firm that recently opened an office in Pune in Maharashtra state.
India
is a competitive market and in recent years has been growing, thanks to large contributions from local governments and significant investments being made in the manufacturing and IT sectors. India's ICT sector has seen the biggest expansion in the global market in recent years.
The company has been active in China for more than a decade, but is now focusing its expansion efforts on the Indian market. Accountancy firm KPMG says the country is on the brink of becoming a global digital powerhouse. It's a switch that's also taking place at the top levels of government. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has pulled her country out of China's Belt and Road Initiative after signing a strategic partnership with India last year. Analysts, though, say strengthening ties with India was also a priority for Meloni's predecessor.
I'm referring, for instance, to the Draghi government. And the Draghi government, Mario Draghi was pretty active as well during the G20 meetings in which he was trying to increase the relations with India by having India on board on different issues that are relevant at the international level.
As Rome and New Delhi get closer together, though, the Chinese market remains vital for many Italian exporters. Luxury brands such as Gucci and Prada have taken advantage of rapid growth in China over the last few decades, although the curve is starting to flatten off. Just like the IT sector, the rising demand for luxury goods amongst India's expanding middle class represents a fresh opportunity for Italian brands. For now, Italian trade policy is really a balancing act. Just after she met with the Indian Prime Minister on the sidelines of the G7 summit, Giorgia Meloni also announced that she'll be travelling to Beijing for an official visit in the coming weeks. Giles Gibson in Rome reporting for DD India.
France goes to polls this weekend in the first round of the parliamentary election. Marine Le Pen's national rally tops the opinion polls with between 33 and 36%, followed by a left-wing alliance and Macron's centrists. Polls indicate that the French are taking the vote seriously, with the highest turnout for a quarter of a century. The UK is just days away from a general election that could see the Conservative Party out of power for the first time in 14 years. Polls suggest Labour Party leader Keir Starmer is likely to be the country's next Prime Minister after the July 4th vote. DD India's Ollie Barrett gets us more from London.
All of the polls currently point in one direction ahead of the UK's election.
So it looks at the moment as if Labour will win and win easily.
That's not to say a win is guaranteed, but Rishi Sunak's Conservatives, in power in one form or another for 14 years, have struggled to eat into the Labour polling lead. So in the days after the election, Keir Starmer could be forming a government with a significant majority here at Parliament. That would bring huge opportunities for the centre-left party, but also huge challenges. After the COVID-19 pandemic, a war in Europe, a cost of living crisis, Britain's finances are creaking.
Well, the big issues facing the government that takes office on the 5th of July is that there are public service improvements needed in the UK, health service, railways, parts of the education system. Economic growth in the UK has been sluggish all the way back to 2008, in fact.
If Labour returns to power, the centre-left party's foreign policy is likely to include quite a lot of continuity with recent years. Relations with India will be a key focus.
We think so. I mean, look, India is the most exciting economic story in the world right now. We are in the middle of the Indian decade, at the start of the Indian century. And I think whoever's in power in the UK will recognise that and want to prioritise the relationship with India.
The Conservatives have also struggled with the rise of the right-wing Reform Party, which promises tougher action on immigration. Reform hopes to win the seaside seat of Clacton on the English south coast. Whatever happens there and elsewhere, it's already clear the makeup of the House of Commons will be very different. Ollie Barrett in London, reporting for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, Putin calls to resume production of intermediate nuclear-capable missile. Tensions between Israel and Lebanon escalate. Rockets launched from Lebanon hit an Israeli border town.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to international updates. More of international updates now. Iran to hold presidential elections runoff on July 5th as the two candidates, Masoud Pezeshkian and Saeed Jalili, were unable to secure 50% of the votes. Among more than 19 million ballots from Friday's election counted so far, reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian secured 42.3% of the votes, while former chief nuclear negotiator Saeed Jalili received 39.5% in the polls that were held on Friday. Reportedly, the voter turnout was around 40%. lower than expected by Iran's clerical rulers. All right, Jessica Taneja joins us with more on this story. Jessica, Iran will be holding the presidential runoff on July 5th, and we also know that the two contestants did not garner the adequate number of votes. What more can you add to it? Let us get the latest from you on the polls, and how is this poll contest poised?
Well, 16 million people were to vote in this election, and eventually only a little bit more than 19 million people came out to vote. That shows the discrepancy amongst voters, and the top two candidates, as you pointed out, of course, also shows that how deeply divided at this point Iran is. And with the elections, the runoff for the presidential elections now to be held on July 5, it's important to note that the reformist candidate has been able to get more than 1 million votes against his candidate, who's also been blessed by the Guardian Council directly, operated by Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader of Iran. Saeed Jalili was not able to secure a complete win. Instead, the reformist Masoud Pezeshkian has been able to get the kind of support initially that was not expected, because many Iranians were not voting in this election. For them, it was a process of selection and not having a say. And you see the kind of voter turnout, which is approximately 40%. It's even lower than what Iran saw when the late president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, got elected. Even then the voter turnout was quite low. And in this election, what has been significant is the rise of the reformist candidate Masoud Pezeshkian, who has sprung a surprise victory of marginal votes compared to the conservative and preferred candidate for the next president of Iran. Now, the crucial factor here being both the candidates offer completely different, if not very different, but slightly different approach to how they will tackle the West. But that would be later to determine as to how the election moves forward on Friday, which is July 5th. There is a lot that Iran needs to work on, its political structure, its social structure. So a lot will depend on what the candidates go ahead and offer. But for the moment, the people are not going out to vote. There are no women candidates that were contesting this election. Out of the 800 candidates, the Guardian Council, which is controlled by 12 members, 6 members of the clergy and the 6 other as the legal heads, which directly allow which candidates can run in the election or not, and only 8 were elected out of that, and 2 so far have reached the point where a runoff became more important because of the historic low voter turnout.
Yes, you're talking of the historic low voter turnout, Jessica. Get us more details on the candidates, Masoud Pezeshkian and also Saeed Jalili. How do they plan to bring Iran out of the present day problems, be it the economic woes, the staggering economy? What are their plans to bring back Iran on track?
Well, it would require a lot of social and political engineering to put Iran back on track, especially when it comes to its economy. Its political structure, as you and I have both known since 1979, when the Islamic Revolution had swept across the Middle East. It was Iran and the return and of course the advent of Ayatollah Khomeini, who is the current supreme leader of the country. And eventually most of the economic and political policies were directly controlled by them, not to forget the national security issues, along with the crucial nuclear arsenal or the nuclear development capabilities. Now, if you'd recall how difficult it has been on Iran for quite some time now, with heavy sanctions imposed by the West since 2019, as when Donald Trump took charge and scrapped the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was struck by the Obama administration before him, that allowed Iran to build nuclear capability, limit its nuclear capabilities, while the sanctions would be lifted for Iran to sort of energize its economy back. Now, talking about the 2 candidates, you have Saeed Jalili, who has been blessed by the Guardian Council, directly blessed by Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader. On the other hand, you have a reformist, a different political figure seen in Iran's polity right now, Masoud Pezeshkian, who has been a heart surgeon, and has been part of the health ministry in the previous administrations as well. He supposedly says that he would try to negotiate or speak with the West in order to strike a deal after the JCPOA was scrapped in 2019 by Donald Trump. On the other hand, Saeed Jalili, the conservative candidate, has vowed to put his priorities first when it comes to non-Western countries and increase trade ties and relations with them. He is not advocating for normalization of ties with the West. On the other hand, the reformist candidate says that he will be, helping his friends, but also at the same time be tolerant to the enemies. It's certainly a different approach by both the candidates, but see what is in front of them. Iran currently is witnessing an inflation rate of 40%, highest in the world. Not to forget that Iran, along with North Korea and Russia, are the most sanctioned countries in the world, almost crippling their economies, depending on non-Western states to enhance their trade and connectivity and other ties. So it has been heavy on Iran, who has only been able to sell its oil to China at this point, and not being able to diversify its supplies, hence a crippling economy and needing more help from other countries and not just the non-Western partners.
All right, so we'll have to see what July 5th holds for both these candidates. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining in with those details. All right, 2 security force members were killed in an attack by unidentified gunmen in Iran. The gunmen were targeting a vehicle carrying election boxes in Iran's Sistan-Balochistan province. Changing track to other news now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that his country would resume production of short and intermediate nuclear-capable missile as a response to the United States' deployment of such weapons in both Europe and Asia. Putin made the remarks at a meeting of Russia's Security Council on Friday. The United States had withdrawn from the landmark 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty with Russia in 2019 after saying that Moscow was violating the accord. Kremlin, however, has denied such acquisitions. Russia then imposed a ban on its own development of missiles previously banned by the INF treaty.
We need to start manufacturing these strike systems and then, based on the actual situation, make decisions about where, if necessary to ensure our safety, to place them.
And up next, Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now, at least 1 person was killed and 12 were injured after Russian missiles struck the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Friday. Video footage released by the state emergency service showed rescue teams struggling to free a person trapped in a car at the foot of the tower block. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claimed to have taken control of the settlement of Rozdolivka in eastern Ukraine. Russia said that its southern military grouping had taken favorable positions after pushing Ukraine forces out of the settlement. However, Ukraine's military said heavy fighting was raging in areas around the settlement. The United States, Britain and France confronted Russia at the United Nations Security Council on Friday over violating an arms embargo on North Korea by using missiles and weapons from Pyongyang in its conflict against Ukraine.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms those unlawful transfers which have significantly contributed to Russia's ability to conduct its war against Ukraine. The transfer of ballistic missiles, along with munitions and related materiel from the DPRK to Russia, violates multiple Security Council resolutions.
Russia's UN ambassador, Vasily Nebenzia, rejected the acquisitions, calling them completely false. Meanwhile, North Korea's UN ambassador Kim Jong asserted that Russia and North Korea relations are peace-loving and defensive in nature, and they do not target a third party.
The DPRK-Russia relations are completely of peace-loving and defensive nature, as they do not target the third party, but promote progress and well-being of the people of the two countries. Therefore, there is no reason whatsoever to be concerned about development of their bilateral relation unless they have intention to undertake military invasion of the DPRK and Russian Federation.
Updates from the US now. Giving no sign of dropping out of the race after a feeble presidential election debate, US President Joe Biden said on Friday that he is intended to defeat Republican rival Donald Trump in the November presidential election. Acknowledging his poor performance against Trump and noting his age, Biden and his campaign rally in North Carolina showed confidence of defeating Trump in the upcoming election.
Folks, let me close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Biden's verbal stumbles and occasionally meandering responses in the debate heightened voter concerns that he might not be fit to serve another 4-year term and prompted some of his fellow Democrats to wonder whether they could replace him as their candidate for the November 5th U.S. election. Biden blamed Trump for putting forward a series of falsehoods and deflected questions throughout the debate. Targeting U.S. President and his contender Joe Biden in Virginia, Donald Trump told supporters that he had a big victory against a man looking to destroy the country. Taking a dig at Biden's age and a shaky debate performance, Trump said the problem is not Biden's age, but his competence.
Despite the fact that crooked Joe Biden spent the entire week at Camp David resting, working, studying. He studied very hard. He studied so hard that he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He got the debate rules that he wanted. He got the date that he wanted. He got the network that he wanted. With the moderates he wanted. No amount of rest or rigging could help him defend his atrocious record.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Hundreds of climate activists marched in front of Citigroup's headquarters in New York in a mass civil disobedience action on Friday. The protesters are also part of a campaign group protesting against big business industries. Haitian gang leader Jimmy Barbecue Cherizia has denied acceptance of Kenyan police troops in Haitian territory. The force was requested by Haiti's previous government in 2022 to control the violent gangs. Home to the largest number of Vietnamese expatriates, Germany has a large number of Vietnamese restaurants. They are gearing up to sell more Vietnamese dishes to international tourists coming to see Euro 2024 games, adding finances to the tourism industry. The Boulder View fire near Scottsdale in the U.S. state of Arizona has prompted immediate evacuation. The fire that started on Thursday has not been brought under control at all. The fire has consumed 1,497 hectares so far. Investigations are underway. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, India's National Testing Agency releases fresh dates for cancelled and postponed examinations.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's take a quick relook at the top stories once again. 5 army jawans killed while de-inducting from a military training activity in Ladakh. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and Army Chief General Manoj Pandey condoled the loss of lives. In sports, unbeaten India and South Africa come face to face in a bid for glory. Teams battle it out in T20 World Cup final at Kensington Oval on Saturday. Iran readies for presidential elections runoff on July 5th as the two candidates failed to secure 50% of the votes. India has achieved a remarkable outcome in the mutual evaluation conducted by the Financial Action Task Force in 2023-24. India has been placed among the regular follow-up countries along with just 4 other G20 peers. India's performance brings substantial economic benefits, highlighting robust stability and integrity of its financial system. We get to more in this report.
The Financial Action Task Force has recognized India's efforts to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. The FATF plenary in Singapore between June 26 and 28 discussed and adopted India's mutual evaluation report. They concluded that India has reached a high level of technical compliance with the FATF requirements. India's anti-money laundering AML, countering the financing of terrorism CFT, and counter-proliferation financing CPF regime is achieving good results.
What we urge countries to do is essentially, put in place the necessary legislative frameworks, and it's important for them to also learn of each other, because there are some countries that are more advanced in this space, and actually there's a lot that can be learned from the countries that have actually progressed in their legislation. But very importantly, I also want to stress that having the legislation in place is not sufficient. What is really important is then fully and effectively implementing the legislation.
India needs to reduce delays relating to money laundering prosecutions, but these are matters of the law taking its course. India is in the regular follow-up category shared by just 4 other G20 countries.
India has also been placed in regular follow-up category, which is a distinction shared by only 4 other G20 countries. So it's a positive outcome for India as far as this FATF mutual evaluation is concerned.
FATF has recognized India's efforts in mitigating risks of laundering proceeds from corruption, fraud and organized crime. India's effective measures to transition from a cash-based to a digital economy to reduce money laundering and terror financing risks could be an example for the Global South.
We are also, urging, countries that have good and strong capabilities and high capacity to lean forward to help these less developed countries. So the overall aim, is to essentially push up and level up the capabilities and capacity of countries across the global network.
The FATF mutual evaluation demonstrates the stability and integrity of India's financial system. Good ratings encourage better access to global financial markets and institutions and increase investor confidence. It would lead to the global expansion of India's unified payments interface. India has been a member of FATF since 2010. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will pay an official visit to the state of Qatar on 30th of June. During the visit, he will meet Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani. India and Qatar share historic and friendly relations, which are marked by regular exchange of high-level visits. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited Qatar on 14th and 15th of February this year and held discussions with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. External Affairs Minister's visit will enable both the sides to review various aspects of bilateral relations, including political, trade, investment, energy, security, cultural and people-to-people, as well as regional and international issues of mutual interest. A judge in the U.S. state of New Mexico has denied a last-ditch effort by actor Alec Baldwin to have his involuntary manslaughter case thrown out. Lawyers for the Hollywood superstar had argued that the charges should be dismissed because the gun connected to the accident was broken during forensic testing. Baldwin was holding a prop gun that discharged, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins during a rehearsal on the movie set Rust in 2021. Tony Waterman has more on this.
The judge in this case said the decision of whether Alec Baldwin is liable in the death of Helena Hutchins isn't for her to decide, that it should be left up to a jury. And this is now the third time that she has rejected Baldwin's efforts to get this case thrown out. In this instance, his lawyers argued that the most important piece of evidence in this case, the prop gun, had been destroyed during the investigation, making it impossible for them to carry out their own forensics. The firearm actually broke into pieces while the FBI was trying to test Baldwin's claims that he never pulled the trigger and that the gun accidentally misfired. Prosecutors say Baldwin's team still can examine the broken pieces and that there is plenty of other evidence for them to work from. They also claim to have video proof that Baldwin, who is not just the lead actor in this movie, but also a producer, was acting carelessly while on set. Hutchins was killed almost immediately after the gun went off, while the movie's director was also injured. The movie set armorer Hannah Gutierrez said she didn't know that she had put a live bullet into the gun, and she was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in April and is currently serving an 18-month prison sentence. With this latest rejection, Baldwin is now set to head to court next month, and if he is convicted, he too faces up to 18 months behind bars. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Boeing is in talks with the U.S. Justice Department seeking to resolve potential charges stemming from two fatal crashes of its 737 MAX jetliners, citing people familiar with the negotiations. Last month, the Justice Department said Boeing had failed to design, implement and enforce a compliance and ethics program to prevent and detect violations of the U.S. fraud laws throughout its operations, violating the agreement that shielded the plane maker from criminal prosecution over fatal 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019 that killed 346 people. Boeing filed a response denying it violated the agreement.
I would like to apologize on behalf of all of our Boeing associates spread throughout the world, past and present, for your losses. They're gut-wrenching. And I apologize for the grief that we have caused. And I want you to know we are totally committed in their memory to work and focus on safety for as long as we're employed by Boeing. So again, I'm sorry.
The Justice Department must decide by July 7th whether to prosecute Boeing, and it could seek to require to monitor as part of any settlement with the plane maker. And back home, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release 3 books on the life and journey of former Vice President of the country, M. Venkaiah Naidu, on Sunday. The release will be done via video conferencing. The books will include biography of the former Vice President titled Venkaiah Naidu, Life and Service. Second book will tell us Naidu's journey as the 13th Vice President of the country, while the third book will be a pictorial biography in Telugu showing journey of Naidu. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Antonio Costa on being elected as the next president of the European Council. In a post on social media platform X, the Prime Minister said, and I quote him, "Congratulations to my friend Antonio Costa on being elected as the next president of the European Council. I look forward to working closely with you to advance the India-EU strategic partnership to greater heights." European Union leaders picked former Portuguese Premier Antonio Costa as the future chair of their European Council meetings at a summit in Brussels on Thursday. Antonio will chair summits of the bloc from 1st of December. 146 Indian students have been awarded the prestigious Erasmus Mundus scholarships for the 2-year master's program in Europe under Erasmus Plus for the 2024 academic year, making India one of the top recipients of the scholarship. A delegation of the European Union to India hosted an event for the grantees celebrating the growing people-to-people links and mobility between EU and India. The students will commence their international degree programs in Europe this September. These students will have the opportunity to study and conduct research at a minimum of 2 universities in different European countries, earning joint or double degrees in diverse fields such as sustainability, pharmaceuticals, engineering, quantum, data, and various STEM and social science disciplines. India chaired its first meeting as the chair of the Colombo Process at the permanent representative level meeting in Geneva on June 28 at the International Organization for Migration headquarters. Ministry of External Affairs Secretary, CPV and OIA Muktesh Pardeshi shared the meet. He emphasized on India's commitment towards advancing the objective of Colombo Process and enhancing collaboration among the member states. India presented an outline of an action plan for the next 2 years, focusing on key priorities and initiatives to further strengthen the Colombo Process. The Colombo Process is a regional consultative process comprising of 12 member states from Asia, which primarily serve as countries of origin for migrant workers. Now, the forum facilitates the exchange of best practices on managing overseas employment. The 52-day annual Amarnath Yatra to South Kashmir, Himalayas and Jammu and Kashmir commenced with the arrival of the pilgrims. The second batch has left for the Yatra on early Saturday in escorted convoys. Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent his heartfelt congratulations to the pilgrims. The pilgrims left for the 2 base camps in Kashmir in a cavalcade of 231 vehicles escorted by the CRPF personnel. The Yatra is taking place from the twin tracks of the traditional 48 kilometers Nunwan-Pahalgam route in Anantnag and 14 kilometers Baltal route in Gandarbal and will conclude on August 19. The authorities have significantly bolstered security measures along the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway to guarantee smooth and safe passage of pilgrims for Amarnath Yatra. Amarnath Yatra pilgrims hold special prayer in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir for Team India ahead of ICC Men's T20 World Cup final match. India are gearing up for their second World Cup final in 7 months as they face South Africa in the T20 title clash in Barbados on Saturday. India's national capital Delhi received fresh spell of rain on Saturday as Met Department already sounded an orange alert forecasting heavy rains. On Thursday, the national capital received heavy rainfall, possibly the highest in June in nearly 100 years. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena ordered the setting up of 24/7 emergency control room and for desilting works to be completed in a week. IMD has predicted that heavy to very heavy rainfall is likely over northwest India during the next 4 to 5 days.
आज भी ऑरेंज अलर्ट के साथ हमने उत्तर प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, उड़ीसा इन सभी राज्यों में ऑरेंज अलर्ट के साथ अति भारी वर्षा का फोरकास्ट जारी किए हैं। साथ ही साथ ईस्ट राजस्थान में भी अति भारी वर्षा यानी 20 सेंटीमीटर तक बारिश होने की संभावना है। बाकी पूरा नॉर्थ इंडिया, सेंट्रल इंडिया, ईस्ट इंडिया में आपका भारी वर्षा आज रहेगी, मगर जो सबसे ज़्यादा खतरा है वो अरुणाचल प्रदेश, असम में है। यहाँ पर एक्सट्रीमली हेवी रेनफॉल होने की पॉसिबिलिटी है, जिसके कारण से हमने रेड अलर्ट दिए हैं क्योंकि यहाँ लैंडस्लाइड्स बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है।
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. Home Minister Amit Shah and Haryana Chief Minister Naib Singh Saini attended the MOU signing ceremony at Panchkula in Haryana. The MOU signed between National Forensic Science University, Gandhinagar, Gujarat and Government of Haryana for a Centre of Excellence in Training and Laboratory Testing Facilities in Forensic Sciences for Prosecution Department. After Delhi Airport, a video surfaced showing the canopy at Rajkot Airport crashed amid heavy rains. As per the Ministry of Civil Aviation sources, the canopy broke during the maintenance work to push out water accumulated in the canopy, and no injured were reported in the incident. The Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, conducted searches at 7 different places in Gujarat, including Ahmedabad and Godhra districts, in connection with the case related to alleged irregularities in NEET UG. On Thursday, CBI had arrested 2 individuals in Patna in the case. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Euros round of 16 kicks off today. Defending champion Italy to face Switzerland in the opening match.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. We'll turn focus to sports now. After 54 matches of non-stop white ball cricket action, South Africa and India have emerged as the finalists in the 2024 T20 World Cup. The Kensington Oval in Barbados will host this grand spectacle on Saturday. The Proteas are looking to make history with their first ever world title, while India aim to reclaim the trophy they last lifted in the inaugural year of the competition that was held in South Africa.
India are gearing up for their second World Cup final in 7 months as they face South Africa in the T20 title clash in Barbados on Saturday. Eager to move on from their 2023 ODI World Cup final defeat to Australia on home soil, India will face South Africa as the month-long T20 World Cup in US and West Indies comes to an end. Heading into Saturday's finale, India and South Africa have one thing in common. Both teams have been unbeaten at this year's T20 World Cup.
We will move on from Ahmedabad. I'm sure they will not be thinking about history, and it will be a fresh day and 2 good teams. 2 teams I think that everyone will agree were probably the top 2 teams in this tournament. Played the best cricket I think in this tournament, both South Africa and India. So deserving finals for both the teams, and hopefully it's a great game of cricket, and hopefully we fall on the right side.
Indian captain Rohit Sharma has been consistent in his batting display throughout the tournament, scoring 248 runs in 7 matches, including a remarkable 92 against Australia in the Super 8 phase. Middle order batter Surya Kumar Yadav has also been in good form with 196 runs in 7 matches. However, India's ex-captain and ever reliable Virat Kohli has struggled in his role as opener. The Proteas will be playing in a World Cup final for the first time after 7 previous World Cup semi-final defeats in all formats. 5 in ODI World Cups and 2 in T20 World Cups. Their pace bowlers led by Norjit and Kagiso Rabada have saved the team on many occasions, while Quinton de Kock has been the top scorer with the bat, hitting 204 runs in 8 matches. The winner of the final on Saturday will be the first team to win a men's T20 World Cup unbeaten. India and South Africa have so far played 26 matches, with India winning 14 of them. While India are hoping to end their global title drought, South Africa are looking to get rid of the chokers tag that they have been long associated with. Who will come out on top, only time can tell. With Campus and Shankar, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for TD India from Barbados.
Rohit Sharma faced heartbreak after India's ODI World Cup final loss to Australia. Fast forward 7 months and Rohit is leading India in the T20 World Cup final against South Africa and Barbados. Despite earlier setbacks and in fact doubts over his form, Rohit's exceptional performances and strategic leadership skills have brought India to the brink of another World Cup triumph. Victory would solidify his legacy among the cricket legends. Our correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya gets us more in this report.
Rohit Sharma was a shattered man. His eyes were moist and his body language reflective of the heartbreak as he laboured over his words after India lost the ODI World Cup final to Australia in Ahmedabad. At 36, his dreams of playing a leading role in a World Cup triumph had turned to dust. Rohit didn't know if there would be another opportunity, another chance. 7 months later, life has moved on dramatically. Rohit and India are in another World Cup final, this time the T20 format against South Africa in Barbados. No one could have predicted this after the ODI World Cup defeat, especially since Rohit had been out of India's T20 format since their semi-final loss in 2022. But disappointment is in that final fueled Rohit's desire to keep going. His decision was vindicated by recent events. In January against Afghanistan, Rohit returned as captain of the T20 side. He hasn't allowed doubts over his India selection policy to linger at the T20 World Cup thanks to his stellar performances. Rohit's batting has been instrumental in India's unbeaten run in the final. Despite criticism over his IPL form, the 37-year-old led by example, dominating against Australia and England in crucial games. Against Australia, he smashed a match-winning 41-ball 92. Against England, on a tricky pitch, he adjusted his game to secure a winning total. Rohit's strategic acumen also deserved praise. He picked the right bowling combination, playing to the condition. In the US leg, he favoured pacers. In the Caribbean, he brought Kuldeep Yadav, who has taken 10 wickets in 4 matches. All this will be celebrated only if India wins the final. Victory would place Rohit among the legends like Kapil Dev and MS Dhoni. But if they lose, it could also mean more heartbreak. Their reality is for Rohit to confront on Saturday. With camera person S. Shankar, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for GD India from Barbados.
All right, Narayan Singh joins us with more. Narayan, it's going to be a super Saturday. India versus South Africa for the World Cup T20 title. Tell us, how are both the teams poised?
Definitely, it's a dream final and a high voltage clash between the two best teams of the tournament. Both of them are unbeaten so far. South Africa won their 7 matches when India won 6, and 1 match has no result because of the rain against Canada. So all in all, it's going to be a dream final between the two heavyweights of the world cricket, considering the fact that the brand of cricket India has played in this tournament so far, the kind of cricket, especially their captain Rohit Sharma is playing against. We saw that against Australia, fantastic knock that shattered the Australian. After that, again he played an outstanding knock in the semi-final. So it shows that they are in a different frame of mind, and if they play this final against South Africa with the same intent and the same intensity, definitely it's going to be a difficult task for this South African team. But talking about the South Africa, a fantastic bowling lineup they have. If we talk about their pace trio of Marco Jansen, Kagiso Rabada and Henrik Nokia, they are one of the fearsome trio of pace bowling trio in the world, and the pitch at the Barbados definitely has an assistant to the pace bowler, and how the India's top 3 handles the pace attack of the South African bowling attack, it remains to be seen. And apart from the pacers, their spin department like the Keshav Maharaj and Tabrez Shamsi to have an outstanding record in this tournament, and if they continue with the same zeal and the same intensity, definitely it will be a tough task for the India. But all in all, India needs to play the same brand of cricket they played throughout the tournament. If we talk about the 2022 T20 World Cup semi-final against England, where India was in a good position, but in that match against England, they played, we can say that, not with the intent as they played in the previous tournament. Same in the ODI World Cup in 2023. Throughout the tournament, India had an unblemished record. They were unbeaten, but in the final, they looked a different team. But here, it is looking like that India had shed that tag, and they are playing. Even if you talk about Virat Kohli, he has moved out of his comfort zone. He is playing big shot, but he is not able to translate that thing into the score, hoping that he has also saved that a big inning for the finals here in the Barbados.
All right, Narayan, thank you for joining in with those details. I'll take that forward to Tapas, who's joining us from Barbados. Tapas, just a while back, Narayan was analysing for us how are both the teams poised ahead of this crucial and the ultimate contest. But you're there in Barbados. Before we talk about the match, you tell us, what are you witnessing outside the stadium? What is the level of excitement? What's the level of enthusiasm? Let us, get more from you on this first.
Right, Preeti, just me put it this way, it's 7:30 in the morning, and no, not even just 7:30, and yet people are already started to come inside the stadium. It's, the match will start another 3 hours from now, and already people are coming from different parts of the world, not just in West Indies. People are coming from USA and other places, and just get you a reaction from them. Sir, from where are you coming from?
California, US. New York.
Tell us, you believe that your Indian team will be able to lift this trophy, considering the fact that they have had some heartburn, heart attack in 2023 World Cup?
Today's history is going to be written, guys. It's going to be an awesome day. Looking for India's win. Go India!
Who do you think will be the major player in this particular match?
I think Virat Kohli.
He hasn't done really that well, isn't
it? Today he'll click. Yes.
Okay, what about you, sir?
I'm live here in Barbados, from India.
Right. So tell me something, people are already started coming here. You see a lot of excitement here for the match. The Indian community will be coming here in full.
Yeah, of course. Everyone has been buy ticket already from every sense, so everybody going to come here for sure and support India.
And who do you think will be the major man of the match in this particular match?
Yeah, definitely Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma?
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma has been in amazing form, Preeti, I tell you, the way he played against Australia, the way he played against England, he actually set a different template of batting. T20, we talk about how it is imperative that you take initiative, you wrest control of the match, and that is exactly what this particular team under Rohit Sharma has done. The way he has gone about batting, and not think about if you are losing wicket or not. The ultra attacking batsmanship, ultra attacking cricket that Indian team is playing. You can actually say that it's a row ball. They're taking a cue from what Bas ball, what English team was doing in test matches. The way Indian team has actually turned around their fortunes. People thought that after the heartbreak of 2023 World Cup final, this team will have a baggage, but they have come out hard at every single opponent in this particular tournament. In fact, both South Africa and India are unbeaten in the tournament, and this will be the first time any team will lift a World Cup, T20 World Cup, being unbeaten. So huge moment for both teams, huge moment for India. They haven't won any ICC ICC trophy since 2013. The last time they won a T20 World Cup, in fact, the only time they won a T20 World Cup was way back in 2007. The last time they won a World Cup, ICC World Cup, was 2011 World Cup. So it's been a while. There is a drought of World Cup trophy, and it's high time that this Indian team gets rid of that and make themselves and etch their name in history books.
All right, after the ODI debacle, let's hope India witnesses a phoenix-like rise. But then very quickly, since this is the ultimate match of the series of the T20 World Cup, Afghanistan's stint in the innings, or for that matter, the way England was ousted, this tournament has been about hits and misses. This tournament has been about, shockers and surprises. How would you sum up T20 World Cup 2024?
Well, this is what T20 is all about. You can't take any team for granted. Afghanistan has shown that they have come a long way. This was 2007. They started T20 their journey of playing high pressure match here in West Indies. 2007 ICC World Cup, 50 over World Cup, they played here. And from then onwards, they have come a long way. In 20 years, they have turned around their whole team. In fact, now they are a force to reckon with. They are not any minnows now. So same with Nepal, they almost came close in clinching a victory against South Africa and some other countries. So in many ways, the rise of the minnows or associate countries in this T20 World Cup is quite heartening. It's quite pleasing to the eyes. And T20 is all about that. If you take any country lightly, there is always a chance of falling on your feet, and that's something that Australia found out. That's something that Afghanistan, NewsNight also found out. So
yes,
this is the way to go forward. In fact, T20 will be there in the Los Angeles Olympics also. So in that sense, if cricket needs to go global, probably T20 format is the way to go.
All right, Tapas, there is paucity of time. We'll end this conversation here, but let's look forward to a nerve-wracking contest in the evening. Thank you so much for joining in with those details and that analysis from Barbados. All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, up your screens, we have the Android and iOS scanners. You can scan and download the app on your mobile phones now. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.